What you're looking at is essentially a decrypted intelligence file. We're about to peel back the layers on a war that's being fought not just with bullets anymore, but with likes, with shares, with live streams. This is the cartel's digital war.
My name is Alberto Daniel Hill. With the help of a network of white hat hackers, I've put together this report to map out the connections, the lines between social media, organized crime, and the violence that is just swallowing Mexico whole. What we've found is a pretty sophisticated strategy of influence and terror. And the stakes, they couldn't possibly be higher. And for those caught right in the middle of all this, well, the consequences are final. Those were the last public words of a 23-year-old influencer, a truly chilling premonition broadcast to the entire world, just moments before it came true.
To really get a handle on this digital war, we have to start with one single shocking event. An event that exposed the entire network live and in real time.
Okay, so let's just look at the raw facts here. Valeria Marquez, a rising star in the beauty world, was murdered in her own salon. The assassins, they were disguised as delivery men, and they executed her mid-broadcast. The very platform that gave her a voice became the stage for her public execution.
And make no mistake, this wasn't some random act of violence. The U.S. Treasury Department actually connected the dots. They publicly linked Marquez to a man they call LRR, a top commander in the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. Suddenly, that line between influencer and organized crime became terrifyingly crystal clear. Her death was a message. It was an act of femicide used as a tool of raw intimidation.
Now, Valeria Marquez was a victim, for sure, but her story is actually part of a much, much bigger trend. To understand it, we really need to dig into the cultural soil that allows this whole narco-influencer phenomenon to grow in the first place.
You gotta understand, for decades, especially in places like Sinaloa, this thing called narco culture has been taking root. I mean, in areas totally neglected by the state, traffickers became these symbols of power, of a way out. They were seen as anti-heroes, which created a culture that was already primed to celebrate outlaws long before the internet ever existed.
And you can really see how this whole thing evolved over time. Back in the 90s, the propaganda was all analog, right? You had narco corridos, these drug ballads that made myths out of guys like El Chapo. But the singers themselves were often targets. The risk was always there. Fast forward to today, social media has completely changed the game. It's not about mythologizing some distant figure anymore. It's about normalizing the lifestyle, making it participatory, something that seems totally attainable through a hashtag like #CartelTikTok. So how exactly are they pulling this off? Let's decrypt the cartel's digital playbook. Because this isn't just about posting cool pictures. It's a highly calculated marketing and recruitment operation. The entire strategy is built on a fundamental deception. I mean, the brand they're projecting is all about wealth, power, parties, hedonism. But this is a calculated omission. The reality, the extreme violence, the femicide, the constant fear, that is all intentionally left out of the frame. It's basically a highlight reel that's designed to hide a horror film. Now, to operate online, they've developed their own coded language to get around content moderators. It's a whole digital dialect. You see a rooster emoji? That doesn't just mean a rooster. It's a direct nod to El Mencho, the leader of the CJNG. A pizza emoji? That's Chop Pizza, a reference to El Chapo's sons. This kind of thing lets them build a searchable, persistent brand right under the noses of all these platforms. And this coded language, it feeds directly into a very slick recruitment funnel. It all starts with that glamorous, aspirational content. Then come the coded job ads. After that, contact is made in DMs or even in the chat functions of video games like Fortnite. And before you know it, an online follower has become a real-world foot soldier. And if you're wondering just how big this problem is, well, the scale is absolutely staggering. By 2021, an estimated 30,000 teenagers had been recruited by cartels. Many of them lured in through these online tactics. This is not a niche problem. It's a systemic drain on an entire generation. But this digital strategy, it has deadly real-world consequences that go way beyond just recruitment. It's being used for targeting, and it's all enabled by a system that is, frankly, rotten to its core. Just take the case of the influencer Camilo Ochoa. He was aligned with one faction of the Sinaloa cartel. So a rival faction, La Maiza, they hired a hacker to find him. Phishing links were sent out. Ochoa himself was careful. He didn't click. But his wife did. And in an instant, their location was compromised.
Sicarios arrived and executed him. A single digital mistake led directly to a physical assassination.
But here's the thing. Sicarios and hackers, they can't operate in a vacuum. The only reason this entire system thrives is because the political structure that's supposed to be fighting it is deeply, deeply compromised.
And if you want Exhibit A, look no further than Genaro Garcia Luna. This was Mexico's top cop, the Secretary of Public Security, and he was on the payroll of the Sinaloa cartel. The very man in charge of fighting the cartels was actually protecting them. He's now been arrested in the US, but his case just rips the lid off the depth of this rot. And believe me, this is not just one bad apple. Not even close. Reports show a nationwide, bipartisan web of corruption. We're talking governors, mayors, police chiefs from nearly every major political party, all connected to organized crime. The state isn't just failing to fight the cartels. In so many cases, it's actively working for them. So when you put all these pieces of the puzzle together, a really grim picture starts to emerge. We're witnessing a war that seems completely unwinnable, not because the cartels are too strong, but because the response is just strategically wrong.
This chart really breaks down the problem. On one side, you have the cartels waging this sophisticated, adaptive cultural war online. In response, the government is stuck using an old kingpin strategy, taking out leaders, which, honestly, often just causes more violence. And the social media platforms, they're stuck playing a reactive game of content moderation. Everyone is fighting a completely different war. For platforms like Meta and TikTok, it's become this endless, losing game of whack-a-mole. Their corporate policies on dangerous organizations, they're just no match for a decentralized network that uses coded language and can create new accounts in seconds. They just can't keep up.
Which brings us to the final and really the most critical question. When the battleground has completely shifted from the streets to our screens, and the new weapons are culture and code and clicks, can the old tools of bullets and block buttons ever really win? The file is open. The war continues.